It's a year almost to the day since I quit the city smoke and first arrived at River Cottage. And what a year it's been. I've sampled the good life and it tastes pretty sweet. I want more. The mission for the coming months is to turn my miniature smallholding into a real home farm and edge a little closer to the holy grail of self-sufficiency. Right now I'm planning and planting for a bumper summer fruit harvest. And the April downpour isn't exactly helping. But no amount of rain is going to stop me planting my strawberry cascade and dreaming of the summer months. But there's a limit to what you can achieve on 1/3 of an acre. And I've spent a good deal of time over the winter gazing wistfully across the stream and fantasizing about my neighbour's 4-acre field. After some vigorous negotiations with the squire, the deal's been struck. The lush pasture is mine for the year, at £66 an acre. According to the received wisdom, 4½ acres can support a cow and calf, a steer for beef, and up to 10 sheep. I just need to find the stock, and I'm away. To solve the sheep problem, I've enlisted the help of John Randall, 60 years a Dorset stockman and a big fan of the local breed, the Dorset Down. His friend Richard Holloway keeps a prize-winning flock and has picked out 3 ewes with lambs and what's called a wether for mutton. That really is a mutton sheep then,
yes.
Is it?
Yes.
That's already a year old?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's that, a castrated male?
Yes.
Right. I like the look of him actually. Bit of slow cooking. But I don't just need eaters, I need breeders. And Richard has got some 6-month-old pedigree ewes. So if I wanted top breeding stock for the future of my flock, I should plump for a couple of these as well?
Yes, and you can get the enjoyment out of showing them at Melplash show later in the year.
Are they all up for grabs?
Not the ones that have had the backs cut out.
You mean you've already picked the best ones for yourself?
Oh, too right.
Right, so I'm looking at, you've already got 1st, 2nd and 3rd. So how would you feel if I came along to Melplash and beat you with one of your own lambs? Would you be proud or would you be quite cross?
I would be quite pleased.
Because you wouldn't have
You put the word around that you'd sold them to me, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Should we get and have a look? I have to choose the 2 best young ewes from 4 that Richard is willing to sell. So John shows me what to look for in a second-hand sheep.
I like to always handle the sheep this way to find out the depth of the back end. You put one hand on the top there, look, and one hand underneath the crutch.
So you're looking for depth of meat at the back end?
You've got a whole handful of meat there.
Yes, I certainly have.
That is how I tell the back end.
Among other things.
Well, that don't hurt.
After rump groping comes dental inspection. But they don't have to be pearly whites.
No.
And finally, ear appraisal. Then it's time to make my decision. Or rather, time to make John's decision. Well, I hope you picked me a couple of winners there, John. I think it's these 2.
Well done, I think that's a pretty good selection, really.
Yeah? See you at Melplash.
Yep. And may the best sheep win.
And with a small flock of compliant sheep in the bag, I'm turning my attention to cattle. I've come to see smallholder Jason Wareham, who's promised me the perfect house cow and calf of a miniature breed called a Dexter.
The cow I'd opt for would be the Dexter cow with horns out there grazing.
Lovely. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Is that her calf there?
Behind her, she's not stood up yet.
How do we get them?
We'll catch them in a minute.
Is that a 2-man job?
Well, it needs 2 to do it, really.
All right, let's go and do it.
Come on.
Come on.
It's the advantage of having a horn cow, see you? Got half the battle when we've caught the cow. Come on, my son.
The theory is that if you catch your cow, the calf will follow.
Follow your mum. Go on. Come on.
But this little fellow has scant regard for the rule book.
No, we have mummy and calf captured.
Is it all going to be like that?
Easier than I expected.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That reason you want to see it when it's hard work, when you're chasing them for 3 hours.
Afternoon, ladies.
Back at River Cottage, the sheep are on the field and the cows are on their way. But there's more to come. Last year my pair of pigs were a great success, and this year I plan to raise a trio. This shady copse is the perfect pig run, except for an uninvited crop of nettles. The spring stingers pack a vicious punch, which is what makes them ideal fodder for a strangely masochistic seasonal ritual at my local pub. For many years, the Bottle Inn has hosted an annual nettle-eating competition. I've come to help Chloe, the landlord's wife, with the evening's menu, devoted entirely to stinger cuisine.
The thought of losing doesn't even come into their vocabulary. It's got to be a win. It's got to be a win.
I'm quite happy knocking up nettle gnocchi with Chloe. What's worrying me is that I've also rather recklessly signed up for the Bottles team of raw nettle munchers.
I must admit I'm feeling a little bit nervous because I know that these guys are old hands and I don't want to let the team down.
I don't think they'll take losing too kindly.
Have you seen terrible things happening to competitors?
Yes, I have.
Such as?
Do you really want me to tell you before
I want
we
to hear
partake
the
in
worst.
this competition?
I want to be prepared for the worst and then I can only be pleasantly surprised.
After a competition, all the competitors, their mouths are definitely black.
I'm not worried about having a black mouth.
Aren't you?
I'm a lot more worried about having stung face.
But there's always that possibility that somebody might have an intense allergic reaction.
And just collapse and die?
Oh, gosh.
Well, I think a black tongue would be a small price to pay for victory. Death, perhaps a slightly high one.
For my gnocchi, a kilo of steamed young nettle tops have been squeezed almost dry, finely chopped and piled into a mixing bowl with 6 whole eggs, 500 grams of Parmesan cheese, followed by 100 grams of flour. Half a kilo of fresh ricotta is gently stirred in, and a grate or two of nutmeg and a twist of black pepper completes the mix. Meanwhile, Chloe finishes off her spanakopita.
There we go.
Phyllo pastry layered with feta cheese and more nettles. My gnocchi mixture is moulded with 2 spoons into little rugby ball shapes. These need to be chilled for an hour before cooking. Outside, it's the Bottle Inn versus the Hope and Anchor, 3 aside.
Silence, silence. You don't know the rules, I'll just run through. You only have to eat the leaves. Any complaints about livestock have to be put to me before you put them down.
The first team to strip 9 stalks bare is the winner.
Go for it, Bottle!
Roll them, squash them and stick them in the side of your mouth and they won't sting you. That's what they told me, and it almost worked.
It's not over yet, he hasn't swallowed it. He's going.
The Hope and Anchor have unfortunately beaten the Bottle Inn.
It's time to obliterate the bitter sting of defeat with more refined nettle cooking. Chloe's spanakopita is a delight, and along with my gnocchi, which have been simmered for a couple of minutes, tossed with plenty of melted butter, and smothered with a rich tomato sauce, they should prove a little more appealing than nettles in the raw.
All I want is an honest opinion as to whether these nettle gnocchi taste better than raw nettles. Is it nice?
Very nice.
Good.
Bloody good.
Nice. The best team won on the day, but can I ask you, what was your secret?
I have to confess something.
It's a banned substance. Look, test this man.
Awesome fire. Chili sauce.
So what you're saying is you annihilated your taste buds with chili before you started. I suggest a rematch without any foul play.
I think that must be the drink chalking. The last thing I want to eat is another raw nettle. Happily, as music and alcohol work their dependable magic, the rematch is forgotten. My livestock's settling in nicely. Marge and her little calf have been joined by a year-old Dexter steer for autumn beef. My flock is already going to work on the lush pasture and enjoying the sunshine. On the other hand, my chickens may be getting a bit jealous.
They're fantastic layers, these chickens, and I've always thought it would be nice to reward them by letting them run truly free and getting rid of this wire fence. Unfortunately, they'd knacker my vegetable garden, and they might well get knackered themselves by Mr. Fox. But now that I've got my field, I think their liberation could be imminent. I don't think this is going to sway around in the breeze too much, is it?
No. Have you chosen a spot for it?
Yeah, just another 15, 20 yards.
But if my chickens are also to enjoy the freedom of the field, they'll need to adapt to a radical new lifestyle. My neighbour Angus, who's handy with a hammer, is here to help me persuade them to do it.
This is only a theory.
Okay.
It's something somebody told me about, and it's just possible they were pulling my leg.
I think they might have been. I think they just might have been.
But in theory...
I like the idea.
The theory makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. Pole in, get some weight on the middle.
And down.
And then round we go. First bit's the hardest.
It'll never work. Do you know what? This really makes me feel incredibly dizzy.
No, you've got to get rid of the grass
Jesus
and the roots
Christ.
first. He's a goner. Ready? That's it. That's getting there.
Still going down.
Off she goes.
I like it. I like the way it's going. Let's not stop now. Let's keep going. I feel sick.
And that. Yes. Oh God.
Let go. Looking good up there. So the man who told me about this promised me that chickens could climb that ladder, but a fox couldn't. Are you convinced?
No.
Which bit aren't you convinced by, the chicken or the fox?
Both.
Oh, come on.
I can't wait to see a chicken climbing up that, but I really can't. It's
Well,
be a
they may
sight.
take some training.
And will they walk down it, or will they just sort of gleefully jump from the top in the
Well,
morning?
hopefully they'll sort of kamikaze glide down.
Before we introduce the chickens to their luxury penthouse, I think we deserve a little sustenance. It's too early to harvest anything from the River Cottage veg garden, but in my new meadow, the wild spring greens have got me spoilt for choice.
I could knock up a dandelion salad, grab myself a wild sorrel omelette, but what I've really got my eye on is this river-loving plant that looks as if it's about to go over the top. It's a luscious bed of wild watercress, and it's all mine.
Down by the Weir Pool, another early spring favourite, wild garlic, is carpeting the ground with its white flowers, green leaves and intensely flavoured root. These two wild greens will combine to make a delicious creamy soup. And the peppery tang of the cress is going to get an extra kick from the sharp oniony bite of the wild garlic. The thing to remember about this stuff is that the roots are much better cooked, but the leafy end is much tastier if it's served raw. The white roots are finely sliced and thrown into the pan to sweat for a few minutes in a little butter. The watercress is piled in, followed by a couple of ladles of good strong chicken stock. It's simmered for a minute and a handful of cooked rice is added. This thickens the soup as it's blended to a nice creamy consistency. All that's then needed to turn this soup into a meal is a little contribution from the chickens themselves, the perfect poached egg. Get a good whirling vortex going, and just when it comes up to full speed, you get your egg, pop it in the middle, pop the lid on, take it off the heat, and leave it for just as long as it takes to make a nice piece of toast. The poached egg is slipped into the soup, which is finished with a dollop of double cream and a sprinkling of chopped wild garlic leaves.
Hungry, Angus?
Oh, that's very good.
Is it nice? But I think this wild watercress is just a little bit more peppery than the stuff that you buy in the shops.
So I must admit, I'm not completely convinced. I imagine foxes as being really agile and quick.
Well, apparently they don't like ladders. Apparently.
And who said this?
Well, it's someone I met in a pub.
Right. That's sounding more and more dubious by the
Assured me
minute.
it was true. They gave me the whole master plan for the chicken hut.
Just have to wait and see.
After tea, it's time to relocate the chickens and try and wipe that sceptical grin off Angus's face.
Yep. Don't look down. Come on, girls.
It'll be a case of chasing them out to make them realise that they can actually go down. Come on, chickens!
That's very good.
Come on, you! I think we definitely put them off.
I don't think they've got a head for heights.
It was
It's going to be
try.
It's going to be more a question of tempting them down than tempting them up.
I think so.
Whether my chickens will ever adapt to high-rise living is hard to say, but clearly it's not going to happen today. So, with the prospect of a few days without eggs, I'm looking elsewhere for protein and profit. I've always got the marine harvest to fall back on. Down on the Cobb at Lyme Regis, I'm meeting a couple of diving fanatics who've invented a whole new local currency: scallops.
So what do you exchange them for on the whole?
I have a friend of mine who's got a garage who looks after my car, and so I just swap in scallops for work.
What, you pay your car repair bills with scallops?
Yeah. But listen, we live in the country and this is how it works down here.
So how do you work out the rate of exchange of scallops for, say, a dodgy carburettor?
They complain if they haven't had enough. That's right. That's it. They know they're always perfectly fresh and yummy because they know I've caught them. Which is good.
Paul and Doug's easygoing philosophy of scallops for tea plus a few more to barter with appeals greatly to my smallholders mentality.
Think we'll see many fish while we're diving?
We're doing a wreck. It's called the Bagatana, which is sort of lying in about 20 metres of water. Should be quite a lot of fish on it once we get down there.
And the scallops are found, what, just off the wreck on the flat ground?
Yeah, on the flat ground, sort of north, east, south and west.
I'll tell you what, Paul, I certainly need some help to get into my suit.
Is it shrunk? Is it that tight?
I've put a few pounds on since I last put this on.
Cooking, old chap.
That's what it is. It's life at River Cottage, the fat of the land. It's all ending up here. You are the fat of the land.
As we head off to the wreck of the Bagatana, the sea is calm and all the omen seem good for a fantastic dive, until we spot the enemy. Scallop dredgers. 2 of them.
So do you think this pair of dredgers is going to have had all our scallops?
No, because they can't actually get in close to the wreck, because the actual wreck is broken up quite a bit, and there's a lot of debris around. So our chances of catching scallops are far greater than theirs, really.
So divers get to grab the scallops that dredgers cannot reach?
That's right.
So what would be a good haul for a beginner like me, first time out?
I would have thought 30, 50.
50?
It all depends.
Don't come up with any less.
No.
Cheers, Doug.
We'll be back. Here we go.
With a modest target of 30 scallops in mind, we kit up and Paul leads the way. When it comes to collecting scallops commercially, divers can definitely claim the moral high ground. Unlike dredgers, which scoop up everything on the seabed indiscriminately, we can be selective, picking up scallops by hand and leaving the rest of the seabed intact. At first I can't spot the scallops at all, but as I get my eye in, my lot improves. And pretty soon we're getting competitive.
size. Well done.
What about that?
That's too small.
First job back in the rib is to throw back any undersized scallops and count the catch.
16, 18,
Who doesn't exactly?
24, 31.
I only got 24.
That's
But I mean,
it's a start.
depends whether you're selling or eating, really, doesn't it?
I think it's just eating.
I'm a few scallops short of my much-needed new wetsuit, so the best option is a feast on the beach with Paul, Doug and a few friends. I've come up with a cunning recipe which will allow me to serve up the scallops without the need for plates or cutlery. The secret is a blissfully simple combination of Mexican maize flour and water, mixed to a dough, rolled into balls and pressed into fresh tortillas. A minute on each side on the griddle and they're done.
Nick, perhaps you'd like to pass judgment. These just need a second or two on each side.
The flash griddled scallops are laid on a warm tortilla and smothered with roasted red pepper and tomato salsa and a creamy guacamole.
No plate required. Possibly a bit messy. Can I get you one?
That would be fantastic.
While I keep my tortilla production line going, Paul and Doug are up to all sorts of scallopy tricks, barbecuing some in their shells with garlic and olive oil, others with white wine, and my favourite, tossed in oatmeal and garlic and fried in butter, finished with a squeeze of lime.
Plenty of garlic. That's outstanding.
That's the pan-fried one.
There you go. That's no guacamole.
Oh, go on, just one more.
Hang on.
It's not on my diet sheet, what the hell?
Well, you can put it on there, can't you?
It's extraordinary though, isn't it?
There you
They've
go.
come up with all these different ways to cook scallops, but the only thing they can think of with a shell is an ashtray. It's a bit sad, that. There's the real challenge, isn't it?
No, they make those
mermaid grass.
Yes?
Yeah.
I like that.
and those strange little ornaments that you stick other shells to, and sort of.
Oh yeah, but they're really horrible. Chickens.
No, they grind them up and feed them to the chickens.
It's used to bail out small boats.
Very small boats.
Yeah.
Back at River Cottage, my chickens have at least found ways of getting down. Getting them back up again will take a little careful coaxing.
Come and climb for your supper. Come on.
If my step-by-step training doesn't work within a week, they could be the first of my livestock to end up on the kitchen table.
Come on, piggywigs.
My 3 little spice pigs, Ginger, Baby and Fat, have settled into their riverside apartment nicely. And while they're thriving on my kitchen leftovers, my cattle and sheep are already busy converting the field into milk and meat. All in all, it feels like it could be a very productive summer.